The word Chicano is referring to anyone with the Mexican heritage. In the 1960s, Chicano was used in a derogatory way, but now it has been reclaimed by the Mexican Americans. In Orange County, majority of the families were farm workers living in run-down houses with horrific educational systems for Chicano neighborhoods. In 1946, the Mendez family took this upon themselves to change the segregation in Orange County. It took over a year for the court case to begin, and meanwhile this time, the Mendez family quit work to gather support to argue their case. The court cases began and hundreds of families gathered in the courtroom to show their support. People at the court case arguing for segregation said, "Mexicans should be segregated like pigs in pig pens," she recalled. He said Mexicans were filthy and had lice and all kinds of diseases. The court case ruled that the separation of Mexican schools was unconstitutional, and later the Mendez children were allowed to enroll in a primarily white school with better education. Brown v. Board, ruled by the Supreme Court in 1954, made it so across the nation schools had to be integrated. In the 1960s, East Los Angeles was populated with 98% Chicano or Mexican immigrants. At Garfield High School in East LA had the first major protest that began the Chicano Movement. Students felt trapped in lower tracks that funneled them to low-skilled jobs. People had friends from other high schools in different districts, and they would be offered higher courses, and teachers would recommend and set up students for success. This walkout in 1968 led to 200,000 students protesting in school districts across the U.S. to protest education equality. With the walkouts migrating toward Denver, families of the students got more and more involved with the publicity. A student that was part of the walkout in East LA is now a professor at UC Berkeley. Carlos Munoz Jr., president of a group called United Mexican American Students, was arrested because he was seen as a threat, even though he was being a student activist. After the walkouts, within a week, the dropout rate in the LA County increased dramatically. The Equal Opportunity Act of 1974 created a new law where school districts couldn't discriminate against any citizen in the school system. This act also enforced for students to have more programs for those who are bilingual and speak Spanish primarily in their home setting. Now I am going to show you a short clip of how my parents, Jose Juan and Arcelia, on how they were involved in this movement at the university level.
There were a lot of very important issues that came up, and one was faculty of color, specifically Chicano, Latino, Mexicana faculty at the UC system. And there was a long list.
Particular at UCSB.
In particular at UCSB, though this was joined in by the entire UC system. There were the students from Davis all the way down to San Diego who joined in on protests and political activism to retaking, basically taking over administration buildings to get the attention of the regents. In particular, something that was really important at UCSB is that was where the drive or the protest to gain ethnic studies requirement at the UC system level, which is an affirmation of the importance of the presence and the voice of Chicano and
Student activism.
But
Something really, really, I didn't know this about UCSB, is that as a result of the, student activism that was happening in the 1960s, UCSB was the first department in the United States to have a Chicano Studies department. It said, if you don't know your history, you don't know what you are. And that it was really important for Chicanos to be educated in order to learn their history and write their history. If not, it'll be forgotten. In some ways, it was very scary, but it also motivated me to learn more about my history and also to inform others about the importance and the contributions that Chicanos have made to this country.
How did you feel to be surrounded in people that cared about the same topic as you and wanted the same end result?
For me, it was I felt supported, and it was probably the first time that I found my place, and where I did not have to kind of explain, some of the things that I did or ate or family, and so it was just really validating. And
Now in 2018, Chicanos are the most segregated group due to lack of representation in the educational system. The White House reports that less than 50% of Chicano children are enrolled in preschool, just 50% earn their high school diploma on time, and those who are only half as likely as their peers to be prepared for college. Just 13 have a degree. Dual immersion schools have been created to increase these percentages of Latinos succeeding in schools. Dual immersion schools are more popular right now because people with power in the education systems are recognizing that the language barrier is affecting the high dropout rate of Hispanics. To help Chicanos feel integrated, cities are making a requirement for ethnic studies to graduate high schoolers. A high school teacher says, so by the end of the year, they're seeing themselves as makers of history. Carlos, UC Berkeley professor, doesn't think that Chicanos are educated equally, but he is happy that there are more Chicanos in the LA school district representing. With the new president in power, there have been many threats to immigrants and Mexican
There's
Americans.
this saying that we say, unity is power. And when you have people who come together who are like thinkers and have a drive to accomplish something, that energy can make things happen. Because of the Chicano movement and the student activism that I was a part of at UCSB, I met the most beautiful Chicana from East LA.
Yeah,